I should turn my mic on. That usually helps.
There we go.
I had it on mute.
I was wondering. I was like, well, maybe he's I don't know, talking to somebody else or something.
Yeah, probably just talking to myself.
Yeah, well, that's all right.
How you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you?
I'm just, trying to live the dream, do my thing,
Yeah. It's been
just day by day. Just started my new business. Well, I didn't just start it. I'm travel agent now. So I started that I'm in this will be my third year. Calendar year is basically when I started. I started at the beginning of January, 2 years, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So this would be the start of my third year. I changed host agencies after doing it for a year. To give me better avenues to do business.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's where I'm at. I always wanted to do the podcasting thing, but I needed to have a reason.
Yeah.
And so I found a business that kind of gives me something to talk about, stuff I like to talk about. And then I'm kind of using the podcast platforms to be my marketing arm for my travel business. So as you can see in the corner, my title sponsor is my Living Life and Style company.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So that's kind of the idea. And I thought we'd bring other business owners on. I think my camera's a little choppy, but whatever. I got other avenues. I'm working on all of the technical stuff for all this stuff, but
yeah, I can only imagine it's I'm sure there's rabbit holes all over the place you can go down.
You just know,
microphones and headphones and cameras and
all of the things. I've even been told I can use my cell phone as my webcam, but I'm like, okay, I don't know if I'm ready to dive into that rabbit hole just yet. It'd probably be 1,000 times better of a camera than this little rinky-dink thing I've got on my desk.
Well, I think sometimes raw is better.
Right.
I mean,
So tell me about what you're doing now.
well, I'm doing business advising, coaching, consulting, all of the above. They all kind of have different levels of what that means, but it's all
Sure.
kind of the same thing.
If my
Uh,
camera blips out, I'm still here. Just know that.
okay, I was gonna say, yeah, you just blacked out, but your audio is very good, so that's
I paid enough for these microphones and this soundboard. Damn well better be.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I have started to go down that myself and look at it, and then once you start looking at different reviews and this and that, I'm like, I hit a wall, and I'm just like, well, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. So
I got the opportunity like right after because I used my family and we used to own a Visiting Angels, and we did senior home care for adults in their house and all that good stuff,
yeah,
and we did that for like 20 years. And after my parents retired, I liked doing it because I liked working with my family,
yeah,
right? And so I enjoyed doing it, but being in senior services was never really my thing, right? It wasn't like that was some passion of mine or anything like that, right?
right,
And so when my parents retired, it was like I've got no drive to actually continue to do this, right? Like I just have no passion, no inspiration. It's just not what I want to do with my life.
yeah,
And so once we sold it, I went out and I started kind of chasing a few different rabbit holes on what the hell I'd like to do. So I always, I worked in radio for a long time, and having a podcast was always something that I liked, like the idea of initially it would have been like I want to do a sports show or I want to do a politics show. But then I just got so burnt out on those topics.
yeah,
And I'm like, I don't want to do that. And so it's like, okay, what do I want to talk about on an ongoing basis? So, I got all my equipment, but then didn't have anything to talk about. In COVID, a buddy of mine, he came over and we would do a Thursday night podcast where we would sit around and we'd have drinks and we would just generally talk about guy stuff.
I
Right.
I I briefly remember that. Yeah, so I was going to
Yeah.
ask you about that too. Yeah, I briefly remember that years ago. Yeah, a
Yeah.
couple.
And we had a good time doing that, but I was much less technically advanced and I'm still obviously not technically advanced in this endeavor, but I was much less so even then. It was
Yeah,
much more, and schedules didn't work. We all have to have a job so we just couldn't keep it up, right? But I still liked that idea, just like guys getting together and talking. It doesn't have to be guys, it can be gals too. But the point being, just people getting together and having good conversations about whatever, just not politics,
right.
you know. And so I still want to do that, but at the end of the day, I started to realize like, man, you're going to need something that's going to be able to bring in some money a little quicker than starting a podcast from scratch. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
I investigated 3D printing, so I bought 2 3D printers. And that was interesting, but also a situation where like scaling that to an income level would be
right,
a challenge. So I moved on from that, and I found travel. And I was like, okay, I get to work from home because we homeschool our kid. I'm like, I get to work from home. Travel's always something that me and the wife like to do, so it obviously comes with a bunch of awesome perks.
right.
And so it's been a slow process. It was something that I knew that I could carry into a podcast. It could be topics that I could talk about. I don't know if you saw the stream that I did right before I hopped on here, but I just kind of went down a whole list of news that's going on in the travel industry. Um, so yeah.
No, I find that I did not happen to. I had a call that wrapped just literally. Well, it's almost 30 minutes ago now, but so that industry, I think it's misunderstood because it's all everyone always thinks that, well, if I go with a travel agent, it's going to cost me more.
I know.
And I was talking to somebody. I was doing some not door knocking or what business door knocking a few weeks ago, and I went
Sure.
into one, and I got to talking with her about the same thing, and she was like, "No, that's what everybody thinks." I'm like, "Well, then you need to do a better job of explaining it." Because I mean, I'm in my mid 40s. I'm traveling a lot now too. All of my, everybody I know, like I don't know anybody that uses a travel agent, but now you've just talked to me and you've explained to me what how it actually works. I'm like, why the hell wasn't I using one the entire time?
Yeah,
It,
it's
it
it's free
literally just like
time.
bam, just hit me in the face. I was like, that doesn't make sense. Like it makes
Yeah.
total sense to use one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it because it doesn't all it's not always a situation where it doesn't cost you more, right? There are travel agents out there who have like a retainer, you know, and
Yeah.
things like that. They do have those, but uh, the overwhelming majority of people that are travel agents are just earning their commission, and the commission's paid by the supplier. So it never comes out. I mean, you're going to pay the same amount whether I do it or you just go to Expedia and get it done yourself, right?
Yeah. That is a huge misunderstanding in your market. I'm sure you probably hear it all the time, but I am
And
only recently been awakened to this whole thing,
yeah,
and yeah, maybe it is a little bit more, but I mean, nominal.
it just depends on the situation, right?
Yeah,
I right now I focus a lot on cruises, and it pays well enough through the cruises. I would never charge somebody a fee for booking them a cruise, right? Because the cruise industry pays well, right?
so if I were to
Hotels
go
and hotels and flights are different. Flights, there's zero commission on them,
right, that's
and hotels, you're talking about 10% that I got to split with a host agency on $185 and you stayed 2 nights, we're talking 30-40 bucks. So it's not necessarily worth it for a travel agent to spend a lot of time on that without engaging some level of a retainer or service fee.
right.
So in that regard, it can be, but when I start doing like a package for somebody and I'm doing a cruise and they need a hotel and they need airfare to get to the cruise and all that good stuff, you ball it all into one deal and it's much more affordable.
Yeah, yeah. I just I'm actually kind of pissed at myself that I didn't know that before, but
Yeah, well, um that's I got a buddy of mine, buddy of mine, his name's Mike. He's trying to get on. I think he ran into the same problems that you did, so I'm sending him a new link. But yeah, it's an interesting thing. um Try that link, it should work better. But
and so
it is an interesting dynamic. It's like people just don't realize, they think it's going to cost you more. um I don't
well,
even sell it. I don't even sell it in a situation where I'm trying to imply to them that I'm going to get them any special deals. Although I do have the ability to do that, right? I try to sell my services much more in the regard that, look, I'm saving you time.
right,
You
yep,
realize how much time you'd have to spend on um on Expedia hunting down all of the the deals, the places, et cetera, et cetera. Who wants to do that, right?
yeah.
Well, that takes forever. Um, and
Yeah, but and I've got 2 points on that. One is, I don't know how many times me and the wife have sat down and we're like, "Well, we wanna go somewhere," and then, 30, 45 minutes later, we just give up because, putting it all together, we're like, "Yeah, well, we'll come back to that tomorrow," and then we don't.
right, right. And like you literally have to like block out. I mean, you
Yeah,
have to plan that. I'm going to be sitting at my computer for the next hour.
yeah.
All right, give me a second here. I'm going to bring Mike Foot in to join our business roundtable.
Yep.
So hold on, Mike. Welcome to the crowd.
What's up?
Mike, meet Zach. Zach, meet Mike. I'm Eric.
Hello?
Good to
Hello?
have you. We've
How's it going?
been discussing the misunderstood nature of the travel agent here over the last few minutes.
Yeah.
And how people
That's
tend to
probably a
think
pretty
that
good one.
it's going to cost them more money.
It's not like it
And
used to
how
be.
it, right. and now it generally doesn't. So that's a lot of what we were talking. Another thing that I kind of try to let clients know or prospects know about, being a travel agent is look at it as me being your personal customer service representative with whatever vendor you're talking about, whether it's Expedia or the cruise lines or the airline. It sounds awful and it's a little crass, but a lot of people don't like talking to the customer service people for many different reasons. And that's what you hired me for. And I don't cost you anything to deal with them. I'll sit on the phone with them for 30, 45 minutes, figure out where the errors are in your booking or what the issue is or whether or not you can get the upgrade or whatever. That's what I'm there for as a travel agent. So anyways,
that to me is worth, almost whatever. I mean, so I guess I should ask, so if you're somewhere and there is a, I don't know, event or whatever, and you got to reschedule flights and whatever, is that something that you could?
Yeah, I would certainly, yeah. It would definitely be something that if it was flight, we kind of talked about flights not being,
right.
But if let's just say it was a cruise, and it's like, oh, I got to reschedule, right? I mean, I just had a client, she actually was booked with one cruise, and she decided she wanted to go to a different cruise line. So I had to call in, cancel her cruise, book her new cruise. It's a new cruise line, collect the money, and me and her maybe had 2 or 3 5 or 10-minute conversations about what we needed to do. And then I went and did all of the work with the cruise lines behind the scenes while she went to work and, did her daily job.
Yeah.
So
I know we just booked like my daughter. I think the problem with a lot of that is, so I used to have an aunt, one of my favorite aunts. She owned a travel agency for years. And so like we would call them all the time, just be like, hey, I want to go here. And she would do all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Anymore. But a lot of, like Costco, like my daughter just went on to Costco and they go on there and book a basic trip, and it's cheap and it's fairly easy. Once we were going to go for a week to Hawaii. It's for our anniversary. And then the flights went way the hell up, like overnight. The flights went, the price of the flights jumped up a ton. And so then I scaled it back and we're going to go for 5 days. So now I was like, well, hold on. We're already planning for a week. And the travel over there is like such a long thing. What if we're coming back? It was showing coming back through Vegas. So I was like, what if we stop in Vegas on the way back instead of coming all the way back on that last day? We stay in Vegas Wednesday and Thursday or whatever, come back Friday. That creates a whole new problem if you're trying to do that shit on Expedia or one of those deals, or trying to find like, I don't know if you do it or not, but like from here, we were going to Kauai. We started our thing going to go to Maui and then like for a couple of days and switch, and then I was like, I don't want to do all that. So we decided we're just going to go straight to Kauai. So there's a whole lot of different things there. And to me, I was like, this is a pain in the ass. So the older I get, like the less, I don't know, the hassle factor of anything turns into a hassle. I'm like, fuck it, I'm out. Sorry, pardon my French.
No, dude.
But I'm like,
we are that
I'm
webcast
out. Like,
for sure.
And I don't care what it is. Standing in the line at the grocery store, like, I'm out. I don't care whatever it is. I'm out. And the hassle gets too much. I'm gone. So, like all of this, my daughter's, because our trip turned out, me and my wife have been married in April. Like,
congratulations.
Yeah, I got married when I was 3, right? So, so it's like we were gonna go, and then we have grandkids, teenage grandkids. So my wife was like, "Well, I want to bring the grandkids." So, which I was cool with that. And I don't necessarily want to spend a whole week with her anyway. So I was just like, hey, we'll take that. Well, then that turned into another family trip. We've gone on a couple family trips. So both it's like they're coming and everything else, So it turned into a giant thing. And then so my daughter's like, well, I'm just make a spreadsheet of all these flights. I was looking at flights and I was like, this is ridiculous. Like trying to figure out the best way to do that.
I had my live stream earlier. I went and I did a whole bunch of show prep this time and got a bunch of articles and stuff to talk about on the earlier live stream. Matt wasn't able to join me. So, doing it by yourself, it kind of slows, speeds everything up. And so my hour podcast turned into a 30-minute podcast, but I had lots of topics to talk about, but I kind of went through them fast. But you sent me that text message earlier this morning asking me about flights, and I sent you my reply. What was my reply? It was something along the lines of 6 to 8 weeks before travel and book on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday, right? Most of what I said was pretty accurate, but apparently there was an Expedia Air Hacks report that came out, and it was some of the news that I read in my earlier live stream. And so basically, for those who are wanting to know, August is the cheapest month to fly. February and March are the most expensive. Domestic tickets can be 12% cheaper in August, and international tickets can be 7% cheaper in August. Sunday is actually the cheapest day to book flights, not Tuesday and Wednesday anymore.
To book to fly out on Sunday,
like to get online and find them. Book them on Sunday. That's right. You can save as much as 6% on domestic and 17% on international. Domestic flights, book them 1 to 3 months in advance to save up to 25%, and international flights 18 to 29 days in advance to save up to 17%. And Tuesday is the quietest day to fly. So
so the international flights, would you say 17 to what?
That's 18 to 29 days. Yeah, like 30 days out.
Yeah, see, that freaks me out. Like this was like we're going on the end of May, like May 23rd, and then so I was like even now it's like I want to get the flights booked but if I'm wait, my daughter's like, no, I should wait, and I was like, the only way they seem to be going is up. So I don't know.
And in addition to that, flights this year have been 1% cheaper than last year. And that's domestically, and international flights are down 4% from last year. So I'm in the right industry, dude. I'm not even having inflation. Are you kidding me?
Right.
Going down. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
I'm in the mortgage industry. I'm in the mortgage industry, so the housing market is not your friend this year, or last year anyway. I'm hoping this year it'll rebound, and a lot of people got out of it, so I'm hoping that just the attrition also will help us out. But
I'm sure. What were you going to say, Zach?
So the flights, is there any kind of I don't know, where you can, if you book the flight and then it drops? Is that a
almost pick it up, all of them are going to have some sort of change fee?
Oh, okay. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So they tell you that, but then they charge you.
I'm looking into a service. I've seen it advertised. I have it up here on my screen, but I haven't signed up for it because I haven't done the research on it yet. But it seems to be a thing that's like kind of an aggregator of all of the promotional deals going on with the different airlines and stuff. So it should give me kind of a leg up on the good deals. I mean, I tell most of my clients, if you have a favorite airline that you fly, you're going to get the information about the good deal before I do. I don't pay attention to airlines. Right. I'm busy with cruises and all-inclusive resorts. I can't monitor everything. So if you have an airline you like to fly and you have frequent flyer miles with them, they're going to be sending you promotional materials all the time, and you're going to find out about the great deal on the flight way before I do. I don't make anything on flights, so I don't care if you book it yourself anyway. And if you find a great deal, I tell all my customers, you find a great deal on a flight, take it. Like if
I haven't found a great deal yet, but then,
Unless it's with
like I
Spirit.
said, like I went from right. I went from me and my wife going to like now I'm paying for 4, and I was like,
oh yeah, that jumps the bill quick. But yeah, no Spirit, no
Whoa.
Frontier. Those are my wife's rules. There is no Spirit and there is no Frontier.
I've only flown Frontier one time, and they gave me a hot cookie.
I
and so
got
was
changed
down
over to
like that.
Frontier once, and it was a little concerning, but we made it. But I told my wife, because Frontier does a thing where it's like you pay like $300 and you can fly all summer long as much as you want with some blackout dates exempted, like 4th of July and shit like that. And I told my wife, I'm like, hey, check this deal out on it's all you can fly. And she's like, Frontier? No.
That doesn't even sound sketchy at
no,
all.
I'm out.
Yeah.
So yeah, no Frontier, no Spirit. I don't,
No DEI pilots.
Be ended up on that show Lost.
Oh, right.
Right.
Which is a scary proposition.
Yeah.
You know how that show ended.
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
Somehow I don't know
Yeah, we
why I
watched
did,
that.
but I lasted through it.
It was one of those shows I really liked it, like the whole time I watched it. And then after you got the ending, I was like, that kind of sucked.
Same thing.
Yeah, you're like,
Same
that was
thing.
dumb.
It's like it reminds me of and I don't know, I'm definitely dating myself, and I barely remember it, but I just remember like there was the season where Bobby got shot and killed in Dallas, the show Dallas. And one of the main characters was Patrick Duffy, and his character was Bobby. And it was like the big season ending that he had got shot and killed, right? And like they did the whole next season without Bobby, and everybody hated it because Bobby wasn't in the show. And then the very next episode, at the very beginning of the next season, Bobby's wife walks into the bathroom, and there Bobby is taking a shower because the whole last season had been
He's
a dream.
alive.
Yeah, and so he's alive. And it's like, oh my God, that's dumb.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I feel about the ending of Lost.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like we did all of this. We thought there was some mystery, and there's just nothing but a continuous rabbit hole. That's just that was my take on Lost. So
we watched it.
Let's
all the
see
time
here.
My wife had the remote.
Yeah, well, that. Look, man, I'm happy anytime I can find something that both me and the wife like to watch.
Right.
What
my problem is I'm too in tune with all of the political stuff. And so when they start introducing it into all the shows, I'm like,
oh, I have a hard time unplugging.
Off the TV.
I'm part of a group.
I'm
part of a group on Facebook. It's called the Critical Drinkers fan page or fan group. Critical Drinkers Drunk Posting Group. That's what it's called. Critical Drinker's a movie critic on YouTube. If you've not seen him, I highly recommend you watch some of his movie reviews because they're hilarious. He's a drunk Scottish guy, but he does actual like really well done like plot analysis, like cinematography analysis of all kinds of different movies. And it's just hilarious. And he hates pretty much everything that's come out since 2019 is mostly garbage, right? But he'll go back and he'll review some older movies too, and they're really good. But in that group, it's very much disdained any of that sort of overt, like forcing it in your face sort of messaging that they put in a lot of the media today. And so I agree with you in that sentiment. At the same time, I feel like we have to keep trying because we'll find gems as we look. It's kind of like going to the diamond fields in Arkansas. Nobody expects to actually get a diamond while you're down there. But you go down there and you break up some of the clumps of dirt anyway. You sift them through because you never know. You just might find a gem.
Yeah, with TV and movies, I'm the opposite. I'm like, nope, I ain't watching. I'm not going. I don't turn on the TV. If my wife didn't watch TV, like I don't even think I would have a TV. Like I don't
But
watch the news. I don't watch movies. I don't watch
oh,
any of that shit.
I try to stay away
No
from
desire.
corporate TV. But
Yeah.
what do you watch, Zach?
It's TV's dying. I don't watch it much.
Yeah.
I watch YouTube. I watch a lot of YouTube, and I try to. I'm trying to stick to movies because I can't get invested in any of the shows enough about the characters to want to stick with them.
No,
for multiple series. You know what I mean? It's just like I don't know. There was a time, Sopranos, The Wire.
Yeah, those are
all those
great
HBO shows that came out right after, one right after another, and like you got invested in them and everything else. But then, like, I just can't get invested in the characters anymore. I just don't.
I had the Tony Soprano ringtone on my phone.
No, did you?
With their theme song? The theme that's going.
Yeah.
Like that was.
Yeah.
I love that show.
It was a good jam. It was a good jam. My favorite was The Wire. I thought The Wire was
The Wire was a really good
dramatic television show ever made.
It really was.
I thought it was top to bottom. Just
it really was. But I think as far as the news and stuff, I quit watching the local news like 20 years ago because I remember just sitting there going, this is just crap. Like you just turn it on and it's like murder, murder,
yep.
Scream, fire, scream, murder. And then they come out with a story every now and then that like this dog found its way home 600 miles. And it's just like, so what? Like just garbage. Like, and so I quit watching it. I quit watching the local news years ago. And then I quit watching the cable news. I don't know.
I used to work at
20.
I used to work at 980 KMBZ.
Did you?
Yeah. So I worked on who was it at the time? Well, when I actually worked at KMBZ, I did the Toby Tobin show, which was on Saturday mornings. And then for a while I worked with Seren Petro doing the afternoon sports when it was still over at KMBZ. And I worked with Scott Parks because he was the news director, but he didn't have his show at the time. He was the news director at that time. And then I moved over to 610.
Oh, is that where he came from?
What's that?
I said that's where he came from. He was a news guy or news editor before that.
Yeah, he was the news. He was a very more conservative, straight-laced sort of straight news guy for the longest time, until him and Mike Shannon started their show, and then he started embracing the talk world a little more. Yeah, I was in the studio. You remember when the what was it? The space shuttle, was it Discovery? I think that broke up over Texas.
Oh,
a number of years ago.
Yeah.
Like 2004, maybe something like that. Yeah, I was in the news. I was in the studio when that news broke and had to do that, like a whole new breaking news and going to Washington and the whole 9 yards. That was a lot of fun. It was a bad day, but it was a lot of fun. So,
all
right. So nobody watches any shows.
Yeah. Suck on that.
And so I'm curious to know more about what Zach does, and you said, Mike, you're in mortgage lending, right? Did I get that right?
I'm in the mortgage lending. Yeah.
And Zach does business coaching, right?
Yep.
So what's the process? How's that work? How's the business coaching thing work?
Well, it depends on where one is at and where they want to go. So coaching kind of pulls you along in the direction of where you want to go or the business wants to go or whatever. And then you interject, which is the consulting part of it. And that's the new stuff into it. So that's why it's kind of like a combined kind of thing.
Right.
So, when you hear business consultant, a lot of times you think, the big giants and all that are doing specific things like marketing and sales and all that other stuff,
Right.
because that's specifically what they're there for. But a lot of times, and you guys will, I mean, you probably know 10 people that are small business owners that are, they're doing well, not doing well, whatever. It doesn't matter. But so they're really good at what they did or what they started out learning. So they decide to go into business because why not? That's the thing to do. Then, after kind of their warm markets dried up a little bit, then they have to know business stuff that they didn't know or bother to learn, or not always, but a lot of times, early on, and then they're behind trying to catch up. So that's where I catch a lot of them at. They're,
I know
especially the last
exactly
six
what you're
months.
talking about.
What's that?
I said I know exactly what you're talking
Yeah,
about starting
yeah,
this thing up.
yeah,
But go
yeah.
ahead.
It's. I
Yep.
mean, it's a cycle that I can see at different levels, from solopreneur to you get up to, because everybody's big goal is, oh, we want to make $1 million. Well, is that a realistic goal? Is that really what I mean? It sounds good, but why? Why do you want to do that? What does that mean to you? I mean, revenue typically is an ego driven number. The margin or the profit that you keep, that's the one that feeds the family. So that's where you kind of have to sometimes shift people's minds to what are you really doing? And ultimately it comes down to freedom. I mean, it's
So
everything we do is based on getting to that freedom point.
right. I made a post in my Living Life and Style social group the other day. It said money's not the goal. Money's the tool, freedom's the goal, and money's the tool that gets you the freedom, or something like that. It said it
Exactly.
much more concisely than I do naturally, because it's a meme.
Yep.
But I mean, at the end of the day, that's it. I mean, that's what the goal is I want the freedom to do what I want to do when I want to do it.
Yep.
Um, you know, so
Right.
in your process of consulting and stuff, do you help the small business owner find resources, find service providers and things like that? Do you hand out referrals to other companies or other businesses that can help him build his business?
Correct. Yeah. If that's what's needed, most of the time they're falling into accountants or some kind of bookkeeping. Because I'll be honest with you, small business owners shit their pants when they think about P&Ls. I mean,
Nobody knows what
they don't even want
Right.
to look at them.
yeah, they can't read them.
Yeah, they can't read them because they're complicated. Well, that's part of it, or they can be. Um, and that's why they don't do it. And then once a year they go see the accountant, and then they've got all this shit to unfold, and it's just not
Well,
it makes it a stress point because they
right.
don't understand it.
Yeah.
Uh,
I
it's
married
actually,
an accountant, so I don't have that problem.
yeah, it's actually very simple when you break it down to the three things that you really are the only things that you need to pay attention to. But it's part of that, and then maintaining it and staying on top of it. Because I was talking with one of my clients the other day, and he was just getting organized, and so I knew that I knew he had issues, but he knew it, but he didn't know how bad it was. And it was just
Right.
just like press, 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 press. And I'm like, you got to get this shit straightened out. Like you've got it. Like you've got to you got to get everything in line in order. And he found out he was in worse shape than he thought, but he felt better because he at least knew at that point where he stood. He
Dude, not
knew
knowing is
that's the big thing, not knowing.
oh,
If you at least know, you know where you're going. It's just like it's like a pilot in an airplane. Like
it's
going from
it's
New
like
York to LA, if you don't know where the hell you're going, then how are you going to get there? I mean,
it's like that letter you get from the IRS and you hold it and you're like, God, I don't want to open this.
Yep.
Jimmy, God, please, I don't want to open this. And then when you open it up, it's like, oh, by the way, we screwed up our records. It's like, oh, it was no big deal in the first place. Okay, but I'm sitting here just like,
Yep.
white knuckled, freaking out
Yep.
about it. And like,
Been there too. I've been there and done that too. And you open it up, you're like, well, shit. Why was I
I
scared
so
of
worried
that?
about?
They
Yeah.
gave me $1 back or something. I don't, whatever, something dumb. But yeah. So
Well, yeah,
it just depends on where they're at, really. You know, where they're at, kind of where they want to go. But I mean, you know, there's a system and there's a structure to everything. Some people have better systems than others. Uh, but there's pretty much a core fundamental 12 areas where smaller businesses, and by that I mean, you know, less than 4 or 5 million, need to stick to and really dial in. Then once they
right.
get to that point, then there's kind of another set of rules that you
Yeah,
get to
yeah,
get.
yeah.
So
You got to get to that first. Yeah, you got to get that
yeah,
over that first level.
yep,
For yeah, you got to level up before you can go on to
yeah.
the higher
But
game.
the biggest thing is capture and retain your margins. Um,
Right.
I can't tell you how many people. I mean, that's the big problem. And I just heard it the other day, something like 83, 84%. But you know, statistics can be made whatever the hell anybody wants to make them. But
Yeah.
83% will say businesses fail because of cash flow issues, and I don't have any reason to argue that, because I see it pretty regular that cash flow is even if they're profitable.
Yeah, it's a management issue.
Yep, yep, it's all management, and it's no, you know, it's not really ever
Yeah.
anybody's fault. It's just they just need to learn a couple little different things to fix it. I mean,
Yeah.
and no, none of us knew any damn thing until we knew it. So you know, it's
Well,
just part of
yeah.
it.
I mean, we all have to go through the experience before you feel. I mean, it's kind of like me doing these shows. It's like,
Yeah,
I'm gonna have some technical difficulties. I'm gonna have some ups and downs. I'm gonna have some choppy video, whatever's going on. Okay, fine. But the more I do it, the better and smoother the whole thing's going to go. And
right.
you know, at some point in time, you got to you can't let perfect be the enemy of good, and you got to get out there and put your foot out there and do the work.
Yep.
So, so
And
Mike,
that,
I've got a question for you. Since you're in
Okay.
mortgage lending, and I saw this, just so everybody knows, I'm a big Bitcoin guy. If you didn't know this already, so I'm, you know, I'm always on about the Bitcoin. We're sitting at, we're having an up day, 1027. I'm happy with this. I'm actually pretty much happy with anything over 100 grand at this point in time. But so I don't know if you've heard of this. I saw a news report about this, and this was about commercial real estate. But I'm interested in if you've heard anything as it relates to more residential real estate. So a company, I think it was in Philadelphia, and they had this building and they wanted to renovate it, right? But like the ratios and the numbers and stuff didn't add up properly to where they could secure the loan, right?
Okay.
And so what they did was they ended up structuring the loan to where part of the loan included purchasing so much Bitcoin and holding the Bitcoin in escrow for like 5 years, basically counting on the price appreciation as
Right.
collateral to help secure the loan so that they could then go in and do the renovations that they wanted. They'd have the cash to do the renovations and everything that they wanted to do. And then, you know, once the escrow paid out, you know, the Bitcoin was released in like 5 years. But basically the purchase, using a portion of the proceeds of the loan to purchase the Bitcoin to make the debt ratios work was,
The collateral. Yeah. So they were buying it. I don't know how that would affect the debt ratio, but
well, I may
it,
be using the
the,
wrong metric,
yeah,
but
yeah, probably, but
who,
it's
who,
basically securing, you know, they're probably putting it in. Commercial loans are different because you can just do whatever. Like there's no Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae,
right.
FHA, that just giant servicers who are holding on to all of that stuff. So commercial loans are, um, they're kind of the Wild West. So you can do anything like that if the if the bank will go for it or the lender will go for it. You can probably do that. They're, and like you said, they're counting on the appreciation, but I'm sure it's probably used as some sort of collateral, additional collateral for the loan.
Okay, so more like loan to value than.
It's probably the loan to value, but it's probably, I would say, I don't know if they would buy the Bitcoin, but I bet they would hold the Bitcoin. If something like if you had a bunch of Bitcoin or a Bitcoin or whatever, and they said, we're going to hold this over here and as additional collateral and use the income from it, in some fashion. But that's doable. You can buy houses in Bitcoin and stuff now.
Oh, yeah.
We can use it. I've never done it, but you can use, like it gets tricky. Like we've had, I haven't, but I had someone in my office someone had Bitcoin and they were going to cash some of it out to get, I don't know if it's Bitcoin specifically, but they were going to cash it out to use for their down payment. So we have to source all of that income, source all of that money, where it's coming from and all that stuff. So it throws a different wrench in the system, but because most of the stuff that we do is, based on Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae guidelines and stuff.
I see. What were you going to say, Zach?
Yeah, a clarity on that. Who's buying the Bitcoin and which side are we talking about here? I understood kind of the concept, but who's the path?
The way I understood it when I read the article, and I'd have to go back and find the article, but they were
the investors.
The investors were taking out a loan, and a portion of the proceeds of the loan was going to secure the collateral of Bitcoin.
So this is new Bitcoin they're going to purchase, not Bitcoin they have in the bank.
Right. That's the way I understood it. It was part of the lending process and part of the overall package was almost like if you refinanced your house, but you took out a part to remodel your kitchen, right? To improve the value of your home, right? It was almost like they took out a portion of those proceeds were used to buy Bitcoin to improve the value of the overall property package.
Yeah, and it's weird because typically on a deal like that, they're looking at the end result, like what the property is going to be worth when it's done. So and that's how they base. It's usually they'll say, okay, if you add this much money and you do all with X, now it's worth Y, and so if we add all this to it, so then they go off of the value of the completed value. So somewhere in there was some other. It's kind of weird to speculate off of something like that on a bank, but it could be some private investors or something that's doing some kind of something. There's no telling.
Unless they were getting it way undervalued and they were using the excess for like you can cash out kind of thing.
The property itself was so run down that it could not. There was just no value in the property.
They're probably like this piece of shit. So we're gonna if you want to throw an extra $100,000 in Bitcoin, we'll try that. And so I mean,
and
commercial loans you can do your own thing. So it's like if you have the banks can do almost anything on those. Like they can do whatever they want. The rules are I don't know if you ever heard of a non-QM loan, but what investors do, home investors, a lot of these guys do fix and flip loans and things like that. Those are non-QM, which means they're non-qualifying mortgage. When the Obama administration came in and fixed, I'm using air quotes, fixed the mortgage business back in 2010 when they did that Dodd-Frank Act, they put all this bullshit in there about qualifying mortgages and things. So they put in rules in there, for justice or whatever, and they put in there so like if the mortgage company does a loan for an individual on a home on a mortgage, and even if this dude, if Zach brings me all his pay stubs and does all this stuff and we do everything and we go in there and we said it works fine, but we didn't verify that he had the ability to repay is the term that they use. And if back and you try to foreclose on the house later, if it turns out later that Zach really didn't have the ability to repay, then you can't foreclose on the house. Like you have to do all this other shit. So that's why these foreclosures are sitting empty for a year, because the banks have to go through, like I can't even turn down a loan now without, like if we turn it down, I don't turn them down, but if someone turns it down, underwriter turns it down, it has to go to a whole nother level of someone has to go through and say, is this really turned down? Like, is this really
like just
not doable? So yeah. So well, my point is, like, they have non-QM loans. So that's a QM loan, a qualifying mortgage. And that's what for Freddie and Fannie and VA and FHA and all that stuff do QM loans. Not immediately with non-QM loans, which are they have bank statement loans, they have they're called DSCR loans, a debt service whatever it is.
Coverage risk.
So it's basically based on the income of the property conversion. Yeah. So it's like they base them on those. So those are non-QM loans, but those are commercial loans. They're considered commercial loans. So it's not, they don't do them on, they're not supposed to. I've seen a couple, but primary residence. If you do it on your primary residence, they don't do those. It's just, they came in, like I said, they fixed the mortgage business, but the people immediately turned around and came up with products that, got
Yeah,
the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean they had ended up going right back to
Right off the
ninja
bat.
loans.
Right off
Like
the bat.
I was like, didn't we already have
You
this
can't, well, and they didn't though, because I was in the business. I got in the business in like 1997, I think 98. So when subprime was a big thing, and like that's how I got in the business, when the subprime business, and it was the Wild West out there. And you could get stuff. They had a 50% loan to value in this property, but they had something else going on. So I could go to an underwriter and go, look, man, the LTV is 50%. Can we get an exception for this, that, or the other? And a lot of times we would get them. Now, like they won't do 100% loan now.
I guess that's an improvement.
They will do a 97.
I guess that's somewhat of an
They'll do it. You get 97. You can do, but it's stupid because you can do a 97% loan on a first-time home buyer, but if I'm buying my second home, I can't do 97. So that makes a lot of sense, right? So if I've already paid one and done whatever, I can't. You would think so. I should be able to get 100% loan if I've already done it and paid it off, because I've already shown myself. But no. You can pay first time if you're not a first time home buyer. So a lot of the stuff and they put out there is just, and they fixed everything. It's all fixed, but it's so they put so many regulations in there, so many stupid regulations.
It just makes it
You
more
have
expensive.
to have 3 days for this, that's exactly what it is. I tell people all the time, the reason the rates are so high, because every mortgage company has to have a massive staff of attorneys and compliance people. We have to have a compliance person in our office. We've got just a few people working there, but they got people snooping around, make sure every stupid thing that on my website, and I got this and I got that, and they come in and get you for not disclosing something. You did it in 4 days instead of 3 days, and just like they have these state regulators. That's all they do is just go around and get you for minute little idiotic stuff. So every company, we're just a broker, but the companies that we broker to, they've got to have massive compliance departments and everything. Like the way you got to change something on a loan, because a lot of times it cancel the loan, start a new loan, because the timing or something on that deal might throw it out of compliance. You have to stop it. You have to stop the whole loan, start a whole nother deal, start all over again.
That's one of the reasons why.
And
that's one of the reasons why I stayed out of, like, I didn't, after I got out of Visiting Angels, man, I did not go into insurance. I did not go into real estate. I did not go into financial planning. I don't know, 10 years ago, I passed my Series 7, my Series 66, health and life insurance license. I had all that stuff at one point in time. And like, I only have to study as a travel agent for my own benefit. right? Like I have to study what Royal Caribbean or celebrity ships are coming out. Oh God, how
Right.
awful, you know. What's the new features at the newest Sandals resort in Jamaica? Oh damn, what a horrible thing to learn about, you know. But
Yeah.
I don't
I
have
have,
anybody breathing over my neck being like, you're not going to be a travel agent tomorrow if you don't get this
Well,
done.
and I'll tell you, like, I have to do 8 hours of continuing education every year. And last year, like it seems that they're kind of having themes or
Right.
whatever, right? So last year, and I'm just not into all of the last year. Um, it was social justice or whatever, right?
Oh
And they
boy.
get into all this shit with all. I mean, I'm in my office in here in my house, and and my wife's in the other room. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, just because they got all this stuff, and it's like one of the things was and it is all the the CFPB, which I hope and pray that Trump gets rid of them. Um, but it was like if you like one of the examples they gave was literally if you open a bank in the CFPB, is if you have a bank and you don't make specific loans in specific areas, then that's fine, but they won't let you expand your bank. So you can't open a bank if you got a bank in Independence or a bank in Midtown, and you're not doing enough loans in that specific zip codes. They're not going to let you expand and open a bank in Lee Summit where the higher things are, right? You have to do this certain stuff first. One of the other things that they came out and they said in our CE basically said, if you open a bank in this neighborhood and then somebody comes in, so basically it's a neighborhood full of, I don't know, like Armenian, right? You got Armenian neighborhood, and somebody comes in, they speak Armenian, and you don't have someone in there that speaks Armenian. Well, you're discriminating against the people because you didn't do whatever. And it's like the whole thing is just like that, and it's just nonsense, and it goes into the
Oh
pronouns
boy.
and into the you looking at somebody funny. If you don't smile at them, if you smile at them, and just like you might be a racist or you might be, and it's just like, what does this have to do with me doing a
Setting up
loan?
a
Like
mortgage, yeah.
everything. And it's funny because I've always said everybody's green to me, right? They're all green to me. That's all I give a shit about.
Well, yeah, we're business people.
Like I don't get paid till I close a loan. I don't get paid till I close a loan. So
Yeah.
um I'm a big, and the other thing they put on the applications was I think just last year was what language would you have preferred to fill this form out in? There's a big box and a checkbox. What language would have been better for you to fill this out in?
I I don't have a problem with lots of different languages,
Okay.
but I don't feel I should be forced to service clients in languages that I don't know. I mean, I'll be honest
Right.
with you. I wish I spoke Spanish better. I wish I spoke Spanish better
Tried.
because I would love to
Yeah.
service the the Latino community as a travel agent.
Right.
I find it a shortcoming of my own that I don't speak a second language, right?
Same.
Um,
Same.
but I don't think a company should be forced to conduct. I don't think a company should be forced to conduct business in English other than to pay your taxes to the government. If you want to be a completely Spanish speaking company and deal with Spanish speaking clients and forget the rest,
Right.
I'm here for that, man. Go for it. But
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care either. And I think that, but like I said, this on the loan application, it says like what what language would you have preferred to fill this
yeah,
out
and
in or
it's just
whatever?
like
Like,
because that's just a precursor to forcing everybody to have 1,000 different forms in 1,000 different languages.
correct. And I don't, for the many years when I did it, so like they've always had the questions about your ethnicity and your sex and all this stuff.
Sure, sure.
I used to never fill those out. I should, people would ask. I never even asked people. Like I never even asked. I just marked. I don't
Right,
want to.
right.
I probably shouldn't put this shit on video. Because I always felt like if I don't ask, how can I discriminate against marked if it's not marked?
Right.
So that was always my thought on it. I'm not asking. I don't give a shit. and I'll do loan for whoever, anytime, whatever, unless you're just a jerk. Even then I'll do those. I'll probably do some of those.
Because it's still green.
I'm kind of a lone whore. That's
I have a question around that, and it kind of gets a little bit off track, but my thought is that I think the majority of America, it feels the same way. So like, where does that even come from?
right. It's all
Like,
just,
I mean, it doesn't matter what
it's like
side you're
HUD.
on. We all feel the same way. Like, who gives a
It's
shit?
HUD. You know, it started out with HUD,
It-
and because they basically said, okay, you're still talking about redlining, like they're still, you know, and they still talk about that. They talk about digital redlining, which, so another thing I can't do, and it's funny because, you know, I get paid, we get paid a commission based on the loan, the size of the loan. It's a percentage of the
Right.
loan, right? So $100,000 loan or $1 million loan, like which one are you going to do? Which one are you going to waste your time and effort on? So I'll do them both, but like for me to advertise. So they tell me, if I look out here and I pick a map and I go, oh, Lakewood, right? Lakewood's got all these houses in it, $500,000 or whatever. I technically, but the way that their rules are, if I mail just to Lakewood like that, then I could be discriminating against people over here that aren't in these houses because I'm going after those people. Unless you work for the government, it's common sense. Why would I market to people that live in a $50,000 house if I can't do the other problem with that is I can't do a small loan. I can, but for me to do a small loan, they built in all of these. I don't know which one you started this, but you guys get me on a tirade. But so like if the fees, so the other thing they built in when they redid the Dodd-Frank thing was the fees. So if the fees are a certain percentage, it's a high cost mortgage. And now the rules all change. Now you're charging someone too much money and it's a percentage. So if I'm doing a $50,000 loan and I've got a 1%, I mean, an appraisal fee is $500. So I'm doing 1%. Like I'm losing, like you can't charge them very much money, and title fees $600 or $700.
Oh yeah.
You know, all these fees, and it's like I'm not charging anything, but
Every time
you're out of compliance because now it's a high cost.
Every time that stack of papers
high
gets
cost
thicker,
mortgage now.
every time that stack of papers
And
gets
now
thicker, man, it gets more expensive to do business.
Yeah. Right. And now they're like, oh, now you're doing a high cost mortgage. And so now it turns out for me to do it, I either can't do it, I can't get paid, I have to start cutting fees. It's like, I'm not adding fees. It's all fees that are already there. So it's like anything under $100,000, like you almost can't do it. And I typically refer those people to, I've got a friend that works at a credit union. And I try to do like that, like, hey, it's going to save you money. It's going to be whatever if you go over here to this credit union. But technically, if I don't advertise to those people, I'm either redlining or being.
Is that just in your industry? Because I mean, that's a problem if that's going to trickle down to like marketing and everything else. I mean, because you only, everybody has their avatar that they go, that you need to target, because otherwise it's a waste of everything. And if that gets down to everywhere, that's a real issue. Like,
I don't know. It's an issue. Like it's the stuff that they put out on CE that we do. Like you basically spend this last one wasn't as bad, but the one before that I did at the end of 23, like it was basically 8 hours of them telling me that I'm a racist, no matter what I do. Like, it doesn't matter if you smile at somebody, you're a racist.
Any industry that has CEUs in that form or fashion is going to have, at least in the last 4 years, is going to have gone through classes about that. It doesn't matter if they were doing financial advising, insurance, real estate, doctors, nurses, they all have CEUs they have to keep up with. I promise you that was in all of their trainings.
When does this trickle down to our everyday, home service businesses?
as long as you don't have an overarching
there.
umbrella of some sort of regulating body, you'll probably be able to steer
it's all
clear
about,
of it. I mean, it's why I don't have to deal with it.
you do the
I
wrong
don't have
thing.
anybody telling me I have to book people on certain cruises or whatever. I mean, yet, but yeah,
sues. So what happened was, like, did you see the one the other day? There was a big rapper, very, very large girl.
oh yeah, I saw that. She
Uber driver wouldn't
fit in the
said
car.
his tires wouldn't take the weight and wouldn't let her in the car. It wouldn't fit in the car. And so they're trying to sue Uber.
Yeah.
Like, she got an attorney. She was ginormous too.
She's a
But
large
really
woman.
The guy said
large woman.
He said his tires wouldn't hold the weight.
Giving Lizzo a run
Like,
for her
that's
money.
hilarious.
I'm telling you right now.
That's crazy.
She was a big old girl, but
all right, guys.
so I got to get out of here.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I've
I've kept you guys past the hour. I appreciate you guys joining me for the very first business roundtable discussion. I plan on doing these every Wednesday at noon. If you've been invited once,
What are you broadcasting?
What's that?
Somewhere? Are you like?
Oh yeah, we live stream this on my Facebook page and on my YouTube channel. I'm trying to figure out.
All opinions are my own.
Yes, well, that's fine. Yeah, all his opinions are his own. Everybody's opinions are all their own. We're a free
and they're
speech,
loud, and
free speech type of program here, but focus on business issues during this segment. So before we wrap, I'm gonna give Mike and Zach a chance to pimp their business and tell us where we can find you. And as I said, if you've been on the show once, you always have an invitation. I can only have about 10 on the show at a time. So as I develop this and we get more guests, it'll be kind of a first come, first serve for all my guests to be able to get onto the show as it starts to fill up. But you guys always have a perpetual invitation from this day forward. So, Mike.
Nice. We're VIPs.
Yes, absolutely.
So Summit Lending. And so you can just go to my website at mikefoot.com. You can see down there.
There you go.
It's pretty easy, or just whatever, just all over the place. I'm all over trying to stay out of trouble. My opinions, if I offended you, then call me and I'll do it again.
He'll be happy to hash it out with you.
I'll go deeper. I'm on my best behavior right now, so I will go deeper. I'll go deeper if you need to.
That is much appreciated, and maybe I will start a show about going deeper on some of those issues sometime in the future.
I've actually thought about it. I've got some equipment set up here. I thought, man, I'll start a podcast. And one of my agent friends is like, you should do it. And I was like, I don't even know how to start or where to start or what, but
well, maybe we'll have to collaborate.
I got plenty of opinions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Zach.
Cool.
Yeah. No, just Zach with Conflow Strategic. You can find me at conflowstrategic.com. I just help business owners that may be stuck, struggling, or, just need to grow a little more and figure out why they're help them figure out why they're stuck, or maybe they're struggling, and give them a proven plan and developed plan that's to get them more leads in front of better clients, and ultimately make more money so they can serve their clients better.
Fantastic. All right, guys. I appreciate you guys joining me today. I hope to see you guys next week and in the weeks to come. And hey, I'm Eric Tiemann. My business is Living Life and Style Travel. I'm a travel agent. I'm happy to help any of you with all of your travel needs. I probably will be having some changes come to my the way I conduct my business as a travel agent. But at this point in time, if you got questions, give me a call, 816-744-1405. You can also email me at eric@livinglifeandstyle.com, or my website is livinglifeandstyle.com. You can reach me there as well. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. I hope to see you next Wednesday. I will send out invites as I get it all set up. So have a good day, guys.
Sounds good. See you.
See you guys.
See ya.